Hi, you guys. My name is Imani Deloach, and I will be doing my presentation on fraternities and gender violence, fact or myth. And to give a quick overview of everything that I will be covering today, I'll be talking about my initial argument, masculinity, the role women play in fraternities, the use of alcohol in fraternities, rape culture in fraternities, good frats versus bad frats, and what can be done to improve the issue at hand. So to start off, I wanted to give a quick definition of gender violence. Gender violence is a term used to denote harm inflicted upon individuals and groups connected to normative understandings of their gender. And I will specifically be focusing on rape. Fraternities violate women socially and sexually. Fraternities create a sociocultural context in which the use of coercion in sexual relations with women is normative, and in which the mechanisms to keep this pattern of behavior in check are minimal at best and absent at worst. And a little research has been done on this topic, and I really wanted to know why that is. So I really want you guys to think about why there has been such a little research done on this topic when it's such a big topic, especially since gender violence is very widely discussed and has been for decades. Personally, I feel that since fraternities are built on secrecy, oaths, and things of that nature, that the guys in these fraternities are really not willing to just tell the public what goes on behind the scenes of everything. Everything is supposed to be kept top secret, so they don't really want to tell us exactly what happens and what goes on because of that. Which brings me to my next topic, masculinity. Men in fraternities work hard to create a macho image and context, trying to avoid any suggestion of wimpishness, effeminacy, and homosexuality. Typically, there are no gay members in fraternities or openly gay members because being gay is frowned upon in these organizations. They stress competition, dominance, athleticism, conflict, winning, material possessions, wealth, willingness to drink alcohol, and sexual prowess vis-a-vis women. They have an obsession with superiority, and fraternities look for men who can relate to women because they want to be able to attract women to use them for various reasons, which we will get into. And now we will discuss the role that women play in fraternities. Women are viewed as pieces of meat by these men, only used for their pleasure, and they're also used as servers to the men in these fraternities. They treat women as commodities and prey. They are also used as bait. Attractive women can help a fraternity attract new members. A specific quote that I found said that beautiful, sociable women are believed to impress the right kind of pledges and give the impression that the fraternity can deliver this type of woman to his members. Photographs of shapely, attractive co-eds are printed in fraternity brochures shown to potential pledges. The women displayed are often dressed in bikinis, and they're at the beach hugging the brothers of the fraternity. This display makes pledges feel that the women are there for them and that they can do and have whatever they want from these women. And now we will talk about rape culture in fraternities. So to give a definition of rape culture is a set of values and beliefs that provide an environment conducive to rape. Gary Tosh, a man who was formerly in a fraternity, claims that 90% of all gang rapes on college campuses involve fraternity men. And a study was conducted by Earhart and Sandler, and they identified over 50 cases of gang rapes on campus perpetuated by fraternity men. Precipitating conditions to these gang rapes were excessive alcohol use, treatment of women as prey, isolation from external monitoring, approval of violence, excessive concern with competition, and the use of pornography. The men in fraternities do not feel like they are raping women in the circumstances given. They feel that their behavior is acceptable because they don't think that they're raping these women to begin with. And that brings us to alcohol. Alcohol plays a very large role in fraternities, and it is very normative in fraternities. They use alcohol as a weapon against women's sexual reluctance. Numerous studies show that members of Greek organizations drink more heavily than other students. They want guys who can hold their liquor, what they're willing to drink, and can drink socially. And if you don't drink, you have a very small chance of getting into a fraternity. Alcohol is a major tool used to gain sexual mastery over women. And a quote from a guy in a fraternity, he said, "There are girls who you know will fuck. Then there's some you have to put some effort into it. You have to buy them drinks or find out if she's drunk enough." So this insinuates rape, but in no way does he feel that this would be rape. He thinks this is just a necessary step for women who are not sexually interested while they're sober. He still feels like they want to have sex with him. They just need to loosen up a little bit before partaking in these sexual activities. And there was a case study. The case study was an alleged rape at Florida State University involving 4 fraternity men and a co-ed. The group rape was done on the 3rd floor of a fraternity house, and the girl was dumped in the hallway of a neighboring frat house. When found, her BAC was 0.349, which is over 3 times the legal limit to operate an automobile and almost a lethal amount. It was reported that sexual intercourse occurred during the time the victim was unconscious, and they also found crude words and fraternity symbols written on her thighs, as if it were to be taken as some sort of victory against the other fraternity that they had dumped her in. I found an article that did a study on good frats and bad frats. So a study was conducted by A. Aris Boswell and Joan Z. Spade, and their goal was to identify the social context that linked fraternities to campus rape and promote a rape culture. In their research, they found that there were certain fraternities that women were more afraid of and certain fraternities that women felt safe with. The typical low-risk house included an equal number of men and women. The social atmosphere was friendly with considerable interaction. There was almost no cursing and no yelling in these frat houses when these events took place. And the men and women also seemed to really know each other. So their interactions were more intimate. So you could see them kissing and dancing with each other. And also in the bathrooms that were for the women, at the low-risk houses, the bathrooms were a lot more clean, and it really showed a sign of respect towards the women. In the typical high-risk house, there would either be a lot more women than men or vice versa. Men would be on one side of the room, or they would be in the bar drinking while women were somewhere else. Men treated women less respectfully, participating in jokes, behaviors, and conversations that degraded women. And the bathrooms in the high-risk houses were very messy, nasty, and gross. So I feel like that's really symbolized, when comparing the two, that really symbolized how well respected women were in each house. And to conclude, I asked the question, what can be done to improve the issue at hand? A quote Sex with a drunken, nearly comatose, or passed out woman is not defined as rape by the male participants, which goes back to the point that I brought up earlier, that men don't feel like they're raping these women. They don't feel like they're doing anything wrong. They think everything is just them having fun. And then men's sexuality is seen as more natural, acceptable, and uncontrollable than women's. Many men and women excuse acquaintance rape by affirming that men cannot control their natural urges. So, as women and men, we feel that men are just naturally more sexual, so they can't really control their sexual actions and tendencies. To answer my initial question, fraternities and gender violence, fact or myth, it is definitely a fact and we must change it. In order to change it, universities need to monitor fraternities and inform them on what constitutes rape. They need to display maybe videos or hold classes that tell them what constitutes rape, what makes rape rape. Men in fraternities need to stop normalizing this behavior. Men need to take responsibility for their actions. They need to understand that when they're getting drunk and getting these women drunk to the point where they can't remember things, to the point where they're unconscious, to the point where they can't consent sex, that this is rape. This is no longer fun. And women need to stop excusing the behavior of the men in these fraternities. As women, we feel that these men just can't control their urges, which is not the case. They should be held accountable for it. And I feel that women often won't discuss their rape or other sexual assault experiences because they don't want to be frowned upon. They don't want to feel like they were doing too much by telling on them or whatever. But it's something that's very serious and it needs attention on it. We need to start holding people accountable for the things that they do. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you guys. Here are my references.